Hey guys, DIY Maniac here. I want to do a little video going over some of the functionality, things I like and things I don't like of my new Sony head unit, the Sony XAV-AX100 with 6.4-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto compatible unit. If you look back a couple weeks ago, I did an installation video if you want to watch that, and today I'm just going to go over some of the details of the unit. Keeping in mind this particular unit does not have a CD DVD drive. It is a media unit only. If you want to have the DVD or CD drive, you would need to get the AX200 for that. For me, it was not needed as it's not a function I need to have. This particular unit has 55 watts per channel, 4 channel out. It also has 3 pre-outs for amplification, front and rear speaker outputs, as well as a sub output, which is customizable in the interface. It has one rear view camera for reverse camera. It has one USB input, which comes out of the back of the radio with an extension lead that you could run anywhere you want in the vehicle. It has a 10-band equalizer built into it, and the firmware is upgradable from Sony. So the one question we get a lot with these head units is, what's the boot up time like? And yeah, it is a little bit long. With this particular unit, it's 15 seconds, sorry. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the key, and you guys could see in real time how long it takes. So we put the key to the on position. You'll see the Sony welcome screen come on. And we'll keep going. It's then gonna turn to our wallpaper. And then the warning message is going to pop up. Warning message, if you upgrade with software, only stays on about 5 seconds and auto turns off, as you can see. And now we're at our home screen. So that's one thing to keep in with that warning screen. You're going to want to update your firmware to the latest one from Sony, and that auto turns off that warning message after 5 seconds. If you're on an older firmware, it always stays on until you physically press that close button. So when looking at the front of the unit, we have some tactile buttons, which I like. We have a preset forward and back, or track forward and back button. We have a rotary style volume knob for adjusting the volume. We could also press it for some options. And as well, you could press it to activate Siri or Google Assistant, depending if you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And you as well have a home button to bring you back to the home screen. And this home button, if you hold it for 3 seconds, will not mute, but drastically lower the volume of the source that's playing. So if you're coming through a drive-through or you want to have a conversation with somebody. On the home screen, we have our different modes. So right now, I do not have my cell phone plugged in because I'm recording. So Apple CarPlay is not activated. If Apple CarPlay was activated, you would get a logo right here, the Apple CarPlay logo or the Android Auto if you're using an Android phone, and you could then access it from there. Because we're not hooked up, hardwired with our cell phone, Bluetooth takes over. So here you have all your Bluetooth details, battery life, signal strength, and the different stuff that you would need. When the phone is hooked up for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you won't get any of these icons. You'll just get a connection device, a connection icon, and like I said, your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto icon. On the bottom, you can see we have tuner, USB. So if we don't have a phone plugged in, we could hook up a USB thumb drive for music. Bluetooth audio streaming. Once again, if your phone's not hardwired, you could stream your audio through Bluetooth. Phone, rear camera. So you could force rear camera to turn on. Now, if you hook it up properly with the wires, when you go into reverse, it will automatically come on. But you can also force the rear view camera to come on. One note to make with the warning message, don't worry. I know the boot up time is 15 seconds. I don't know why I keep saying minutes, sorry. 15 seconds, but if you turn this car on and it's only within the first few seconds, say for example, of the boot up, and you put in reverse, you'll get the reverse image right away. So don't worry, you don't have to wait that 15 seconds to finally get your reverse image. We have another page with our settings option. So you go in there with all the different settings. So we're going to start with the tuner. So we push tuner. And here we go is what the tuner page looks like. So you get your band, in this case FM, your frequency. You have a seek minus and seek plus, that's for scanning through the different frequencies. So now if I press minus, it seeks through the different frequency. Pushing these buttons goes through your presets that are on the bottom. Presets on FM, we have a total of 18, 6 per page. You have 3 pages of presets. We get our main frequency showing, as well as a display on the bottom giving us the station title, as well as the song title and artist that's playing. For me, this is a big downside, negative for this unit. Why do I have such a big screen, and all Sony is using for the song title is that one little section under the frequency? So I'm seeing a scrolling of the thing, seeing one word at a time. Why couldn't they use that big screen and show it in one shot? I don't know. On the bottom, the presets, right? I have it preset to different stations. Well, look what it's doing. It's scrolling the station title and the song title in there as well. Useless. Why do I need to see it there as well? I want to see the preset frequency there. I'm not though. And the bad thing is, it's not like once you change the station, it defaults back to the frequency. Yes, this one you see 90.3 because it's not an active station, so there's no information to scroll. But all these are active Montreal stations. And even though I'm not on them anymore, it's showing the last song that played or the last information that was being sent over. I want to see what the preset frequency is. So when I look at the screen, okay, that's 97.7, that's 95.9. So for me, that's a big downside. That and only using this little portion of the screen for the information, I find is a big downside. Over here, we could press the FM band to switch it to AM. So you have AM or FM. Here we have the 3 dots, which gives us some options. So that's it for the radio station. So as you can see what it looks like, when you're on the radio tuner, you get your wallpaper. In my case, I have a custom wallpaper. I'm going to go over that those options with you, but that's what you would see when you're on the tuner. The home button brings you back to the home screen. The nice thing is when you press home, it brings you to the home screen. But at any time, if you want to go to the source that's currently being used, so in this case now it's tuner, if you look in the top screen, you have that little like play icon, press it, brings you back to the tuner. If you were in Bluetooth streaming, it'd bring you back in Bluetooth streaming. If you were in Apple CarPlay, it would bring you back in Apple CarPlay. So that's a really nice quick function that you have there. We have the USB, so if we had a USB thumb drive hooked up, we could press that and we would see, get our USB either movie or audio. We have Bluetooth audio. So if we press Bluetooth audio, we would do Bluetooth streaming over, over the stereo. On the Bluetooth audio page, you'll get song title, artist, album. You could track forward, track backwards. You will not get album art though with Bluetooth audio. Just keep that in mind. So the functionality on the Bluetooth audio on this head unit's a little limited in that sense, but really I'm never going to use Bluetooth audio. My phone's going to be connected and I'm going to be using Apple CarPlay. So it's not a big issue for me. USB, however, when you're listening to music, you will get album art. So keep that in mind. You have the phone mode. I'm not going to push phone, and I'll tell you why. I have 6 presets with people's names and numbers I don't want to be having on YouTube. So I'm going to kind of describe what it looks like. When you push phone, you get 6 little rectangles on the bottom that will show the person's name and the number that you want to set as a preset. So you can set anyone you want as your 6 presets, and it shows their name and number for quick dialing. So if you're not hooked up to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto and you want to make a phone call, you have 6 quick presets, as well as you'll have 4 icons, most recent calls in and out. You're going to have most recent outgoing missed calls, I believe it is. You're going to have your phone book. So you press phone book and you get your whole phone book. The nice thing about that in the phone book is, say example, like for someone like me, I have like so many entries because of work in my phone book. I don't want to have to keep scrolling through the whole page. You do have a little magnifying glass you could hit, and you could go by the first letter of the name and it'll auto go to that area of the phone book. So that makes for quick searching. And you'll have another button which is dial pad, so you can manually enter in a phone number. When you're you also have an option when you're in the phone, which would be to auto answer the phone call or not, if you want the unit to auto answer when it rings. And when you're when you're in a phone call, you'll have another option, mic gain. You can actually increase the gain or the volume level of your mic. So if your person you're talking to is having issues hearing you, you will have that option to increase the mic gain. Rear camera, like we said, you could force it into rear camera at any time. So if you're driving, you want to see the rear camera. I'm actually going to be installing a front-facing camera, so you could press rear camera, and you auto see what's going out the back. And then once we said like settings, in settings, here's what we have. We have our first tab, which is our language. You go through all the different languages. Clock time is, if you set it to on, it's basically the stereo, it gets a signal from different radio stations for accurate time, kind of like what your cell phone does, to keep your time as most accurate as possible. Sony actually even tells you to turn that off, because I was having that issue. I had clock time on, and because of the way the radio station was working, it was changing my time to odd times, like 2 hours ahead, 2 hours behind. So I keep clock time off. So does Sony suggest that. Date time, so you can adjust your date and your time. Beep, so that's the audible beep you get when you push different functions. I have mine set to off. Dimmer, so for dimmer you could set it to off, so it never dims. On, so it's always dim, the screen is dimmed down. Or auto, so when you turn your lights on, when you're wired properly, it'll auto dim the display for you. Display's not overly bright, but you definitely want it dimmed when at nighttime driving. Dimmer level, so you could actually adjust how dim you want it when it dims. So I actually put it to the lowest, which is -5, so it gets really dim. I kind of like it that way. Touch panel adjusts, kind of like a calibration. Camera input, you could have it as normal, so no reverse lines show up. So if someone like me is having a front-facing camera, I don't want to see reverse lines. I set it to normal, I don't get reverse lines. Reverse, so you get those reverse markers when you're getting close to an object. Or off, so no camera at all. Steering wheel controls, you could either set it to custom, so you can actually use the functionality within the head unit to program your steering wheel controls if you don't want to use an aftermarket module. I use an aftermarket module, the Access ASWC1 for my steering wheel controls, so I have to put it on preset. Bluetooth connection, on or off, Bluetooth device info, Bluetooth reset, rear view camera settings. So you can actually change those parking lines and readjust them. So you say, example, depending how your camera's set up, you might need to readjust those lines to make them more accurate to how close you are to objects behind you. Factory reset, you can reset the unit. Firmware version, firmware is upgradable through a USB drive. So what you would do is go to Sony's website, download the most latest firmware, put it on a USB thumb drive, uncompress the file, put it on a USB thumb drive, click update when the thumb drive's plugged in, and it'll do its thing. This is the latest firmware update as of November 2018. This is the one you're going to want to have. So make sure you install your latest firmware. And open source licenses. Audio settings, you have extra bass. You can actually do an extra bass, so it gives you more of a booming effect on songs, off 1 or 2. And I find 1 gives it quite a bit. 2 would probably be too much. 10-band equalizer that you could pre-adjust. It has presets, or you could adjust it yourself with your sub control. Balance fader, pretty self-explanatory. Crossover. DSO, this is Sony's thing for making the speakers sound more powerful than they are. It kind of gives like a stereo sound. It actually does work, believe it or not. And on low, it really makes my speakers come alive. And lastly is your display settings or customized settings in that sense. A demo mode, so if you see your units going through all these, it's like doing stuff without you even touching it, it's in demo mode, turn it off. Frame rate for video playback when you're playing video through USB. Album artwork display, on or off. Album artwork, like I said, only displays on Bluetooth. USB drive, you can turn that on or off. And wallpaper, it comes preloaded with 5 preset wallpapers, and you could do 1 customizable, only 1 at a time. So what you would do is upload a custom wallpaper, like I did, and when you want to change it, plug in a USB drive into the USB cable of the stereo, import photo, and put it up. So that goes through the settings there. So that's your settings, but also when you push the rotary dial, you get a little settings window as well. So it shows you the current source, the next source over. Oh, sorry. You can actually turn source off like I did, so there's no source, just my screen. You get a quick setting for your extra bass to turn on or off, which is nice. You get your quick function for your equalizer if you want to change it, which is nice. And as well, you get a display on or off. You can actually turn your display off. So even though the radio will be playing, so say for example, I come here, tuner is on, right? Tuner's playing, volume's down, that's why you guys aren't hearing anything. Come here, press the display off, screen goes black. These lights still stay on, but the screen itself goes black. But the source is still playing. You're still hearing it. It's for nighttime driving if it's disturbing your eyes. And anytime if you want to revive the screen, just touch anywhere and it comes back on. A little tip and trick I wanted to say to you guys that I found out on my own is the volume settings. Each source has its own volume setting. So I'll give you an example. I didn't have my phone hooked up to Apple CarPlay and I got a phone call, so I answered it through Bluetooth and I found the volume very low. So the way it works is within each source. So say example, I'm in making a phone call, I'm talking on the phone, the volume's too low. I can increase the volume, say to 30. That's only increasing the default volume of that source. So from now on, every time someone calls over Bluetooth, it'll always be at 30, unless I were to decrease it or increase it again. But if I go back to radio, radio's not at 30 now and it's blaring, it's where it was when I last left off. The same thing holds true for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, for the tuner, for the USB, the Bluetooth streaming. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You can actually, by turning the rotary knob, change the default volumes individually and independently for each source that you're listening to. So that's something you guys are going to want to keep in mind. Like I said, the USB input is from the back. They give you an extension cable that you can run anywhere you want. It's quite long, it's about a 6-foot cable. So you can run it anywhere you want in the car. It comes with the microphone. You're going to want to have the mic somewhere that's going to be right in front of you, so the person, it's getting a clear signal from your voice. In my case, I installed it on my steering column. I find it's a great place to have it. And like I said, the mic gain is adjustable within the setting. If you wanted to increase it if the person is having a hard time hearing you for whatever reason. One thing to keep in mind, which I did notice with this screen, but I think it's pretty much like that for most screens, fingerprints show a lot on it. So as the more you touch it, you kind of get a lot of fingerprints on it, but nothing a soft microfiber cloth doesn't take care of and cleans up easily. So I mean that's a quick down and dirty of this head unit. I'm very, very happy with it. I made the right decision. The reviews online, the thousands of reviews for this head unit, giving it 4.5 stars out of 5, were not lying. This is a great head unit. It's simple to use. The menus are very simple to navigate. It's not like some of the head units where you got to go through multi-tiers of menus to change different things. I love the fact you have that quick access menu on the side. Really like that a lot. I like the fact you still have a rotary knob for volume. Even though I don't use it much because I use my steering wheel controls, it is nice to have. So overall, I'm very happy with it. Like I said, the big downfall for me is really why aren't they taking advantage of the big screen to display the song title on the radio? I don't need to have all this emptiness, and definitely the presets. Leave just the frequency, guys. Come on, Sony. I don't need to see a little scrolling thing here that's pretty much useless when I'm already seeing it there. And especially when I change the station. Do I need to see what the last song was the last time I listened to this station, which could have been 4 days ago? So for me, that's really the only negative I really have about this head unit. Otherwise, I'm extremely happy with it. Love the look of it. Love the design. So I mean, if you guys have any questions, if I missed anything that you guys want to hear about, leave it in the comments down below. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys, and take care.